Ah, fuck. Really? Shit. Well, that was supposed to be the Demonic Machines intro, and it crapped out. It was we checked it, and it went fine. Ah, well, whatever. The lyrics are Demonic Machines, Demonic Machines, Demonic Machines live. So that's what you missed. So today we have Tim Novak. How do you say it,
Noah.
Tim? Noah.
Noah. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Of Bardic Audio. Which tell us about Bardic Audio. Just a brief rundown of what you do.
Oh yeah. Mostly dark kind of effects, heavier stuff, all with a kind of like nerdier D&D kind of focus. A lot of custom work too, as Kevin probably knows.
Very, very well.
Right on.
Yeah.
And just to interject real quick, Tim, would you be able to give a list of your socials just in case anybody who's watching or anybody who watches in the future, if they want to look into your stuff more and where they can find more of your information and materials?
Oh yeah. Basically just on Instagram at Bardic Audio Devices, and then my website is bardicaudiodevices.com. Pretty simple. You should be able to find it if you just type it into Google.
And that works. That's the best way. You know, I think I'm going to get a lot of shit for this, but I personally think that just having your own website is the best way to get your information out to people, because instead of having to list a bunch of different places, like, oh, you can find me here at this or that, and then here and here, it's like here's the website, it's got all the stuff on there, just go there and we got you. So I commend both of y'all for that. I need to get one set up myself, to be honest with you. Now let me see. So the topic today, I just want to list it before we go any further so we keep it in mind. Fate versus coincidence. Just stew on that. So when we get to, and I'm saying fate versus coincidence, and my perspective of it, just as an example, would be, so Lucky, you know how I was following you for years and I didn't realize that we would eventually have a show together? And,
Yeah.
I was following Tim for years and bought something, and then we've done several customs since, and there's a lot of designs that we worked on, and I don't know if you would call that fate or coincidence, but that's the example that I wanted to use just to give context to the topic. So like certain happenings in your life that you could question, was this something that was always going to happen, or was it something that was just more or less a coincidental victim of circumstance? Something along those lines, you know?
Oh, I have lots of thoughts on this.
But Lucky,
Tim,
is there anything you wanted to add?
Oh no. I think it's an interesting topic. I hope we get some interesting content out of it, because that's what this is about. This is about content and generating content, and that's actually what I want to ask about. What do you feel? How do you feel about the what is your balance between the actual pedal building part of Bardic Audio and then the generating content and like keeping up with social media and stuff like that? Do you have a good balance of that, or do you find that one like overpowers the other? Or I don't know why I brought that up. I took a fat bong rip right before this broadcast. Go ahead.
Right. Well, I've never been really good at the socials and all that, so I'm kind of, I mean, for better or for worse, like 80-90% on building, designing, and all that, and trying to just I sometimes forget to take pictures of what I'm working on sometimes, and sometimes I go like a week without posting anything, especially lately. but it's just, yeah, I've just never been one of those guys, if that makes sense. But I've been working on it. I've been working on trying to make like a few videos, get those reels, and Instagram seems to really like those.
That's
But it's
partially,
like a whole new thing to me.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
it's partially my fault because I remember one of the first times that I talked to Tim after I bought a couple pedals. I think I was like, "Hey, I want to start doing. I want to start doing. I feel so bad. I was like, I want to start doing pedal demos. I could try to do some pedal demos, and I did one, and I was like, I don't know how well this went, and I don't know if it was any good. So I'm like embarrassed to try to do more. But since we've been doing the show, I feel like I could just do anything now. Like I could become the Hulk and slaughter Iron Man in a fight. We could do fisticuffs or something. But yeah, I always thought that you had a decent balance though, Tim. As far as keeping people updated on what you're working on and engaging with people on any of the things that we've done at the very least I can speak to. But I mean, I say you have a pretty good balance on it. I know that you try to keep focused on your work because if your work's good, it's going to speak volumes because anybody that has your work will speak for you on behalf of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I
that's
think
what I hope, anyways.
that's the most important part when you have that balance is as long as your work speaks volumes. I mean, and you could have a social media presence, but if you don't have good products, it's not something that anybody's going to really look into other than just like, hey, cool, look, there's a meme pedal, nice, and then just right past. But
Right?
in my experience with both of you, I think that the work definitely speaks volumes. And I try my best to reiterate as best I can everything in my experience as well. Hold on just one sec.
All right. Deuce is gone. He's gone. He vanished from existence, leaving only this eye icon. So,
Sorry, I had to
oh,
say goodnight to my son.
Yep.
He was knocking on the door, and I didn't want him to pop in and be like, "Oh, I want a hug." So I paused.
oh, right on. That's
But,
valid.
Yeah, I think that was actually a really good question there, if I might say that, Lucky. I would have never thought of that, but I'm also not a creator. And I think it's kind of a shame that art has been relegated to like being commodified and commercialized. Like I feel like a lot of stuff that would have been cool as hell just to exist probably gets diluted some days because of how much of a push there is for marketing and like, hey, you have to do this, you have to do this. And I feel there's a lot of artists that probably get discouraged and don't really follow through with it these days because of the pressure of social media and stuff like that. So I commend both of y'all for being able to handle the balance and the pressure from all sides as well. Especially with Tim and the education. I remember, let's just put it this way, Tim's a smart guy. And I can testify to that because
Well, thank
many
you.
brain moments have been birthed between the two of us in discussion when it comes to pedal stuff. But yeah, I'm sorry. I tend to go on a lot, Tim. I don't know if you're familiar with that about me. But
No, it's fine.
Deuce is the
It's
ghost
entertaining.
yeah, the ghost with the most.
with the
Was
most
there
to say.
anything, and I know I kind of hijacked that, was there anything that you wanted to add to that, Tim, before we go on to the next question?
No, I think you summed it up pretty well. It's just kind of a depressing system.
It's unfortunate. But I will say that your creations shine light on an otherwise dark world. So,
That's all we can
upside
do.
to it, you know?
Yeah.
I was actually going to ask you as a follow-up to that, like, what was the first thing in your life that made you decide, like, I'm going to start making pedals, and I'm going to put my brain power to making noise boxes?
Well, I think that decision kind of came in high school. I didn't start the business then, but I was getting into bass and guitar at around 16. I was kind of just a band kid before, like trombone and saxophone, marching band kind of stuff. And then I got into that, and one of the first bands that I really found that I was trying to, you know, learn their songs was No Effects. And Fat Mike famously uses a big muff on bass, and I want to get one of those, and I did eventually, but as a high schooler, that's just such a big expense. I mean, I was broke after the bass and the tiniest amp I could buy. But so I think that kind of just like desire to want to experiment with different sounds and sound like what your favorite records sound like, but in a cheaper way. And at the time, at least, you could do that by building your own pedals, just buying components, putting them on a fretboard, and seeing what worked. And eventually, I learned that kind of stuff kind of just clicked in my brain, and that's actually what sent me in the path of electrical engineering in the first place. And luckily, I kind of was able to merge the lovely world of music with this thing that just worked out for me. I think, and as far as the business, I just had a cool idea that, you know, I think D&D pedals would be a good idea. But, and I didn't have much in the know about the community and how big and vast it was at the time. But I was like, I have this idea. I don't think anyone's done it, so I'm gonna go ahead and try. You know, mostly just to build something for myself and sell a few to recoup the cost of parts. And then kind of just grew, especially after like socials. I think with socials and pedal building, you kind of get lucky at the start or you don't. And you kind of just get swept up underneath. But I was lucky enough to at least like hold on to a little bit there. Yeah, I think that would describe my start pretty well.
I think that's funny, that your initial idea was D&D plus pedals, I guess. Paraphrasing what you said,
Yeah.
of course. Because I think that was how I discovered you, actually, so Demonic Machines is basically a reference to the fact that when I was growing up, everything I liked was demonic, according to my mother, who was in a very extreme religion. And Dungeons and Dragons was one of those things that I liked that was demonic. And I remember wanting to make a D&D themed... I think at the time I was really only capable of building fuzz. So it was a D&D themed fuzz, you know, and I was looking for ideas. I decided on the 20-sided die icon and stuff, and then I saw one of your pedals and was like, oh well, I guess that's done. But all of that is to say, what's your preferred class in D&D?
Well, I think it has to be Bard. I mean, I feel like that's just like so fun to play, and I mean, just like the mechanics itself is just really fun, but also like the getting into character aspect. I feel like with the Bard can be very entertaining.
Oh yeah, I that's actually my preferred class is Bard, and I always go for the comedic relief kind of character when I'm playing a Bard. Definitely, but that's great. So my phone locked up. Deuce, what is our next?
The next point is going to be, it's actually a question that we've had on previous episodes, but I thought it would be a good question because it always helps give you perspective on to how somebody thinks and what their what their thought process is. It was basically, what's the favorite pedal? Like, what's your favorite pedal design that you've made out of all of them that you've done, including like the Kazoo Dragon and the Berserker Fuzz and the Thunderclap and all that stuff. And then after that, it would be versus what your favorite pedal that's commercially available on the market, and I guess why for each of them.
Okay. Well, starting with the first, I think my favorite one so far has to be one that I recently did called the Dungeon Master, or I just came up with the new rename, just the Master preamp, just because Dungeon Master is already a pretty popular pedal elsewhere. But yeah, that's my two-channel bass preamp that's kind of over-engineered, but I really like it, and the feature set is exactly what I want, and it's like two preamps that I've been like trying to design and perfect for a while. The with the beta bass being a probably the biggest one in there, and then the preamp from my first like big bass amp, the PV Mark III. Um, yeah, and I, I I basically have that on all the time when I'm playing. It especially the EQ. That's really nice. I just got a guitar, but I put a piezo bridge on, and having that graphic EQ really brings it to life and gives it that kind of tunes the acoustics a bit. Um, then to move on to the production, the current production pedal from elsewhere that I really like. Um, I think that would have to be the Wonder Effects Wonder Drive. I've just really loved that overdrive ever since I got it. It just does what it does and does it pretty well, especially for pop punk, which is super fun to play, and it's simple. I don't think I can talk much more about it. Just it just works, you know.
I understand that. That's an interesting choice. I figured you were going to choose the preamp because I know that that was a big undertaking that you spent a lot of time on. I still got to get one, so just keep me in mind. Actually, since we're on the topic of preamps, I'm looking at my Hellfire right now. Um, would you care to share the updates to the newer edition that will be coming out in the future, or do you want to hold out on that
Oh
one for
yeah,
now?
yeah. So the new thing is kind of like I guess an in between project right now. I After a move I had, I found I still had a few like face plates and other various parts for the Hellfire. So I'm like, okay, I'll just use up these parts and make a few more. And then I decided to take care of a few of the problems that I had with it, mostly assembly wise, just making it easier for myself. And I put a new power supply in there, so it's a lot quieter now too. And the output section was completely new. I upgraded the balanced XLR output, and it now runs off of plus minus 12 volts instead of just 12 volts previously. So you're definitely not getting any clipping in that output section. It's just pure tube distortion. And I think I have three more of those to make, so pretty limited. And then I think I'm gonna try to move it on into a rack mount enclosure. Just seems like that's a pretty popular option for preamps. And I think a lot more people would appreciate that.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I saw your post and I was like, now I got to look into it. Or maybe I could did it is everybody can I can't hear anybody right now. Did
I
everybody go
muted
out?
myself because a motorcycle was driving past.
Got you. Okay. That was my bad. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'll talk to you in private about that cuz I was going to say
Yeah.
something about possibly upgrading the one that I have, but you know, it don't bother me either way. Anything I get from Tim is made of gold. Um, Speaking of gold, this actually segues nicely. What are your thoughts on doing custom pedals versus just having like stock pedals that you offer regularly on your website? Like, what's more, which do you have um, a better time doing? Like, what's more fulfilling for you?
So this has changed in the past couple months since I now have a full-time job outside of Bardic. I have a lot less time for building and kind of the doing like the standard production pedals. It feels like I'm just like a machine building them, and that's not how I really want to spend my free time outside of work. So I think the custom stuff right now is definitely higher up on the list for me, but that comes with its own annoyances. Like, you don't know things are going to work out the first time, or if the idea is just kind of crazy or a little too out of my wheelhouse. But usually and recently, customs have been really fun and what I've kind of been focusing on, and just smaller runs of standard production stuff.
Have you ever had a custom project that you got to some point in building it and you were like, "Whoa, no, I thought this was possible, or I thought I could pull this off, and I absolutely cannot."
Oh yeah,
Have you ever? Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
There's one time where, well, at least one time that I really remember well. Uh, it was a weird request for like a three-channel oscillator, like a noise machine, basically. I'm like, okay, a noise machine. That sounds pretty simple. But the person wanted like perfect sine waves out of the oscillator, and there's no like great way to do that with analog electronics. It's usually triangle or square waves. Sine waves are kind of advanced digital realm usually. So I tried like a few like filtering to like smooth out the waveforms, or just standard stuff I like tips I saw online, and it just like wasn't getting smooth enough. So I'm like, okay, I don't think I can do this. And I was like, okay, here's your money back. I can't. I Yeah. It's always tough when that happens.
But it's a learning
that's
experience.
Yeah.
I've I've definitely been in that position. Mine was it was this it was a specific Mesa Boogie amp in a box they wanted, basically, and I was like, oh, I've never built an amp in a box before, or like I've never done
Yeah.
one from like scratch, and I thought I would do it, and I think after like 4 months I had to be like, I'm sorry, man. Here's your money back,
Yeah.
and since then it's been for me when I do custom work, it's not like basically like I'll if someone wants me to build them a kit, I'll build something from a kit, but
Right.
like the R&D involved um for like a unique custom circuit for somebody
Yeah.
is I don't I definitely can't convince people to give me the money that I think that would be worth, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um
It's a pricey operation, but I feel like most of the requests I get are like standard effects with like certain mods or features they want included, or like 2-in-1s, 3-in-1s, stuff like that. Like someone
It's
wants a
true.
rat and a big muff together, and they just want slightly different filtering or different clipping options, something like that. And that's definitely a lot more doable. And I have the schematics for all those in my folders.
Hmm.
But, but like a original circuit I've done a few times, but that's definitely a much more involved process that I probably didn't charge enough for.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly
It's
hope that I pay you fairly, sir.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's my favorite part of doing design work with people is it's not just a challenge for you, but it's also a challenge for the person you're working with because until you establish a comfort zone and like what kind of familiarity you have with that person, you're kind of like right on the line like okay, what can I do that's not going to be too weird or what can I do that's going to be weird enough? So you try to figure it out. Um,
Right.
yeah, like I'm super excited about the top brass. Lucky, I don't know if I mentioned that to you, but Tim put together it was a new old stock like Brassmaster in a smaller enclosure because the one that I had was the Maleko one, which is like huge, and then we had one of the ones that we did together design wise was the Brass Muffster, which I think is awesome because it was everything I need in one box. But now I like having more boxes on my board. But yeah, the Brass Muffster's essentially what the Armistice and the top brass are going to be on my board, which is
Yeah.
a Civil War muff and then the Brassmaster. And I just found out, and I'm annoyed that I didn't know this, and you're probably going to laugh. I didn't know that there was an internal trim pop for the tone. I didn't know that.
Oh
And I'm
yeah.
sitting there, and I'm like, I can hear the mids being adjusted with the tone, and I'm like, maybe it's just a mid scoop. And then I looked on the website, and I'm like, I felt so embarrassed. I was like, oh my gosh, how did I not know? Because I was talking it up about all the features. And I'm like, yeah, it's got a unique tone knob, blah, blah, blah. And so I just felt silly about that. Figured I'd include
Yeah,
that in the
if
discussion.
that was electro-harmonics or something, I would have put all of them up on there. But I thought it'd be a fun aesthetic and still the simple three knobs, but the tone knob is not what you expected,
Hey,
or
you fooled
something
me.
more that. Yeah, I thought
Still
it was
sounds great.
a bit more usable. Like you kind of set the tone internally where you usually like it, and
Yeah,
then bring in and out the mids however your setup changes, and I feel like that works out pretty well.
I agree. I definitely have a lot of fun with it. Trying to, because I was comparing it to the Civil War muff that is on the Muffaletta, and I think I like
Hmm.
yours better because yours definitely sounds better with my bass, and
Uh,
yours sounds better with the lower frequencies of my bass because I play a six string, so the B string sounds great even when I have it down tuned to an A. So that's a plug for the Armistice and the top brass if anyone's interested. No, I don't get paid for it, but I do like the designs, and I'd love to see more of them on pedal boards out there. So, oh, and pick yourself up a corn buffer as well while you're at it, and a Hulk booster because you need to clean the tone and make it nice and powerful. Sorry, there was my shill of the shill segment. Now I'm gonna deviate from what's next and switch to the last thing that I kind of have, which is it's the question that always gets an interesting response from our guests. What are your vibes? And vibes could include anything from your favorite types of music, your favorite clothes to wear, favorite movies to watch, hobbies, anything that defines you and makes you have your own unique vibes.
okay. Well, clearly a big uh, Dungeons and Dragons person, so um, I really like Lord of the Rings. I just I actually finished the book for the first time this summer. I just like didn't think about reading it for a while, and I was then something made me like, okay, I should do this. Then it was a really good book, and the movies are different, definitely. I know people like to say that and or that they're worse or whatever, but I think they're just different, and they're both good in their
Mhm.
own regards. But I'm also
Or not.
a big kind of a a decently big like anime person. Like my favorite show is One Piece. I
I saw that one
got
video you
got
posted with the
a
rock box. Yeah.
Zoro behind me there. Um, yeah, that.
You were just you. I don't know. Was Tim just breaking up for you, Deuce?
Oh, I think we both got confused because I said something. I was talking about the most recent, well, one of the most recent things I saw that Tim posted, which was what was the name of that skeleton pirate guy from One Piece? I can't remember
Oh,
the name right now.
Brick.
Yeah, the
Yes,
that one pedal
Sulking
that
Brick.
you put together.
Yeah,
I saw that.
yeah.
That was a good nod to One Piece, and it looks awesome too.
Thanks. Yeah, I've been blending them subtly, but it's not really like the brand of Bardic Audio Devices kind of vibe. So it's kind of just my personal stuff that I do for fun.
Still cool though,
But
either way, as far
yeah,
as I'm concerned.
yeah, and it's on my board now. So, and I don't know if I'll ever make another one, but I'll probably use that circuit and make something else D&D themed or something. But
Nice.
yeah, that and like music wise, big into punk rock and ska, a lot of ska, like Streetlight Manifesto, Less Than Jake, Mustard Plug, all that.
How about
And
Oh, I was gonna ask if you were a Choking Victim fan. I'm a big Choking Victim fan.
oh yeah, 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 they're good. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen them.
Uh,
I don't think I've ever gone out of my way to listen to them, but I've definitely heard them on like playlists and stuff.
Oh yeah. They. I mean, they're definitely very crusty. Like it's a different kind of vibe from like Streetlight
Yeah,
and like stuff like that. Anyway, continue. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry.
no, it's all good. Yeah, and to oppose all that, I'm also really into like old 50s, 60s country music and folk music. As it's just very pretty to me, I guess, is the best way I can describe it. Um,
There's nothing
and
wrong with
I'm,
that stuff. I find a lot of gems in that.
oh yeah, and great guitar on that too to try to replicate. Like that's just it's classic stuff. And activities outside of this or outside of music and pedal building, I'd like to do a lot of camping. I'm originally from Michigan, and I did a lot of camping there. And as a kid, I was in the Boy Scouts, so that's probably where I got it from. But now, as an adult, I like going up to the UP, as people in Michigan call it, the Upper Peninsula. Just a lot of cool. It's just so beautiful up there, especially if anyone is in the Midwest area and likes camping. I would definitely say go to the Porcupine Mountains. That's on Lake Superior. It's just beautiful up there. I did a hiking trip there last summer. So we had so me and my girlfriend had our backpacks with tents and everything and walked basically along the lake to our camp spot. And that was a really cool experience.
See, you are a much better person than I, because of the warehouse job, I don't really do a lot of walking and stuff outside of work. Some days I have to use a cane to walk around, but that's neither here nor there. Um, yeah, see, you just every time that I get to talk to you, there's just more cool shit that I learn, and I'm just like, man. Also, real quick, in the comments, um, Justice from Fuzz Imp says what the audience might not know: Tim makes Fuzz Imp possible. It literally couldn't exist without him. Thanks, Tim. And there you
Uh,
go. See right there. Just wanted to make sure we got that shout out because that's an important one, you know.
oh yeah, Justice is great. I've been working with him for a while now. It's been really fun to watch him. He's kind of like blown up quite a bit too.
Hmm. And then,
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I was gonna say it might be cool to see if we could have both of you on here one day, and just if it's possible. I don't know if it's possible on the
Oh, yeah.
streaming thing, but that would be
Oh,
cool.
we could.
Just to have both of y'all and pick your brains and see where the DNA strands match up and be like, okay, cool. Here's where the evolutions are in between, and just more interesting conversation, because we actually had Justice. What episode was it? Was it episode 2 or?
I think it was the first episode or second episode.
Yeah, because I was the first accidentally. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It was a good conversation. I'd definitely like to see what kind of stuff we could talk about between the four of us. It'd be fantastic. So I mean, that might be something to look into, and I'll write a note down right here about it to follow up. That would be cool. Sorry, I just sometimes I get wrapped up in the excitedness because my normal everyday life, I don't really get to hang out with music people as much because there's not a lot of them around, unfortunately, in my area. So I just try to really relish in the time I have with people whenever we're together and do this.
Your internet is being fucky again.
Yeah. So look.
Yep.
Follow up on that. Yeah, let's do that. I'm sure. I apologize. Feedback, man. It happens. If I dance, it comes
Feedback,
back
man.
sometimes. I don't know. Yeah, let me try the
Feedback
dance thing
man.
and see if
That
it
sounds
comes
like a
back
Mega
again.
Man villain.
That'd be fun.
What would
Just like,
Feedback Man's power be?
He'd have giant speakers like the wall of sound that the Grateful Dead had right behind him, and then a megaphone facing right at them, just so that it's like a wall of sound attack.
Okay. And then
Maybe.
and it would just like halt the Mega Man music that's like dun 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 dun. I don't know. I can't think of an actual Mega Man song, but you know.
I keep thinking of Sonic music when people say Mega Man, and I don't know why.
Oh, I had a manic episode recently and bought all of the Sonic games for my iPad. So, yeah.
That's a question. Tim, do you like Mario more than Sonic?
Oh, yeah. In terms of the games, yeah, I think so. I was never much of a Sonic person.
I'm out.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm
It
just
was
kidding.
weird. I didn't have a Nintendo growing up. My brother did, and then we had a Sega Genesis, and I remember my brother borrowed it, and he went to, I guess it was like a halfway house up in Buffalo, New York, and left that and like thousands of dollars of guitar equipment and other stuff, because I guess they kicked him out because he was just being real rowdy when he was younger. So yeah, so I'm a little more partial to Sonic, but just mainly because I have the memories of my brother and my sister playing it and hearing the music in the background, like.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I think Sonic has a better soundtrack than Mario games for sure, though.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, Mario is super iconic though. The soundtrack to Mario is like, dude, like I can do that off the top of my head. I have to Scatman over here.
Sorry, I'm not trying to stall at all. Hey, did y'all know that Scatman actually did real jazz at one point in his career?
Yeah. Yeah.
John Larkin, if anybody ever looks up on YouTube, John Larkin, Scatman, but try to find his self-titled album from, I think it was, 81? Lucky? Check me on that.
I don't know.
We're
Where
gonna
am I
say
supposed to
81.
look it up?
No. I mean, if you want to, you can. It's
I'm
fantastic.
not going to.
Oh, Let me see.
So, did
Yeah,
you know
comments. Real quick,
that's
if I can interrupt.
okay?
Justice says, asked him about his tube work. It's nifty stuff. He's also very educated and experienced in electronics. Well, I mean, being an electrical engineer, I would surely hope.
Yeah, that's my job.
But yeah, pray tell about your tube stuff so that we can indulge.
Yeah, we talked about the Hellfire for a hot sec,
Yeah.
but that's like my official stuff I've done. I've I'm in the process of working on a few amps right now,
Okay.
mostly like parts that I've scrounged up here or there, and like I have transformers for a 50-watt head, so I'm working on a like a 80-200 style bass head with that, just lower wattage, but should be pretty cool. It's just fascinating stuff. Like it's kind of like a forgotten, well, science. It's more of an art at this point, but
It's like archaeological discoveries at this point.
yeah,
People
yeah. I'm trying to
forensically
make it
searching.
work with modern electronics. It's just you really need to know what you're doing and be very careful there. Like in the Hellfire, the transformers or power supply outputs 12 volts, and tubes need closer to 2 to 300 volts. So there's circuitry I do to boost that up, but that's kind of crazy levels for electronics nowadays. Like nothing runs at that unless it's like heavy duty machinery in a factory or something.
Yeah, I understand
Yeah, it's crazy and it's expensive. Expensive to tinker around with too.
that.
Just like the parts you need, like a tube is $20 and a transistor is 1 cent.
Thank you, Lucky. Sorry, I didn't mean to keep interrupting when I forgot we can just click on something and make it pop up on the screen. So I apologize
Oh, yeah.
for that. I'm still trying to figure this out. But, Lucky, I didn't mean to interrupt you at that point. I just forgot to click the button to put the comment up. It sounded like you were about to ask Tim something when I interrupted you.
I have no idea. I was
I was
just
worried you were
gonna.
gonna say that.
I was still thinking about Sonic versus Mario soundtrack. Bum, bum, bum. Ba-da-da-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. And it's completely ridiculous, and I can't believe I'm gonna go back to it. Because we could have just like left it. We could have just left it in the past, but now you asked.
What am I gonna regret?
You know that song from the '80s that plays? It's like in Ferris Bueller, and it's in some other movies, but it's like, oh, oh yeah. Yeah. That's a whole song.
Yeah.
That's an entire song with a music video. Like,
Video?
I'm pretty sure there's a music video. Yeah. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I have watched the music video for Oh Yeah. Boom. Or however the fuck that song goes.
I saw somebody edit it to have Macho Man going, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, but that's anyway, that was what I had to contribute to the conversation. Is that's a real song. That's like it wasn't someone in like it wasn't a sound designer for like a movie and they just came up with that like or like, did you know that the Seinfeld music is all done like freestyle, like to the episode? Like all the
Yep. Did you
yeah,
know
it's
that
like
bass is actually a keyboard?
I did. That's why I did the keyboard thing when I
No,
was.
I just wanted
Yeah.
to disappoint all the other bassists out there by saying that, 'cause some people don't know that that's a keyboard playing that part.
Mhm.
Bickadoo.
So, Tim, what are your thoughts on all of this? The Seinfeld
madness.
space,
Oh
you
yeah,
know, that sort
Seinfeld
of stuff.
base is 10 out of 10. I like it. Good, makes for good meme content for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Um,
Did you see that
it,
AI Seinfeld stream on Twitch? That was like Nothing Forever, I think is what it was called. And it was
Oh
completely AI
yeah,
generated. It was weird as hell to watch.
uh-uh.
You got to check that out.
That's,
There's some clips on YouTube. It's strange, to say the least.
oh, okay.
It might not be
What is it
something you want
called?
to. It's what it was like Nothing Forever, I think. You could just type in AI Seinfeld stream or something and it should pop up. But it was weird. Like everything I saw, cuz like the voices are AI generated, the movements, the animation, the whole script, like it's amazing that it all just flowed and worked on its own without somebody having to piece all the stuff together and put it together into a video. It was just, from what I understand, all just AI generated. Yep.
Oh, I just pulled it up on Twitch. I hope
Is it
that
still
doesn't like.
live?
Yeah, I guess so.
What? I thought they took that down.
Yeah,
I'm writing
nothing
AI
forever.
Seinfeld as our next guest.
Oh yeah,
Imagine that.
AI Seinfeld.
It's getting close. AI really is getting close.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, you hear the
I was.
did you hear how they have the voice technology now?
Yeah, I mean, I know all this. I know all this. I mean, I think we're doomed somehow.
Mhm.
Like
Tim, what's your
whether
take
it.
on that?
AI. Well, at least what it is right now is kind of a little finicky, or I guess I should say troublesome, or at least in its unregulated state. Yeah, people, I mean, yeah, you can do those deep fakes with it and all that,
Yeah.
and just people like like all the data that the AI is like trained off of isn't like the most unbiased data, I guess.
I understand. Yeah, because there was something I read a news article where one of the AI chatbot things was like starting to spit out like racist, like Nazi type stuff, and it was really strange reading about that, and I was really surprised. But then when you, like you said, like the data pool that it pulls from is like the entire internet, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
negative stuff on the internet, so it's really not too surprising. But it still just upsets me to be affirmed knowing that there's still that much negative stuff in the world.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's that part of it too. It just shows. I mean, it's not really intelligence. I think it's just autocomplete, advanced autocomplete basically that's on your phone,
I agree
but
with
it
you.
just scours the internet for what mostly comes after whatever word it just typed out.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I don't think it's really what like you'd really consider artificial intelligence, just a glorified autofill.
Yeah, and it's kind of just parroting stuff that it's finding and just recompiling based on algorithms, like you said, about what kind of words will come next in sentences based off of the stuff that it's read and the responses that you give it. But yeah, it's just, I personally, I think it's kind of scary that it's getting to the point where it is. Like, I know it was funny to see all those AI generated, like, Trump being arrested pictures and shit like that, but
uh,
it's getting scary how accurate it's making things look. I mean, we can tell now, but I mean, who's to say 2, 3 years from now we can't just AI generate the whole show and then Lucky doesn't have to, spend the time doing it. We can have AI guests and all the other weird stuff. It's weird to think about.
yeah,
But
it,
oh, there's
I
Lucky.
mean,
Okay. I cannot hear you.
Can you hear
All
me
right.
now?
I can hear you now.
You can hear me now.
Yeah, we were just
Okay.
going down the rabbit hole about AI.
Cool. That's good. Um.
We did have one more segment on the outline if you want to go over that, unless you just want to just keep chatting. I don't mind either way.
Sure.
All right. So
Um.
so Tim, did you have the time to get together your pedal board or your rig to show us?
Yeah, yeah. I have a board, and I guess we should start from the beginning, right, with the guitar.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me get at this.
Sorry to inconvenience you. I apologize.
It's all good. I have everything right here.
All right.
So this is what I've been playing lately. This is a
Ooh.
this was a kit guitar I put together.
Very
Called
nice.
it the Yellow Rose. It's my kind
Nice.
of country folk punk kind of guitar, and that bridge is the LR Bags piezo bridge, and I have a
Okay.
preamp in here for it, and the switch just switches between the pickups and the piezo.
That's awesome.
Then of course the Bigsby for that country style. And I got rail hammers in here that I got from Nick at Wonder Devices or Wonder Effects.
Yeah.
He hooked me up with those. Got a P90 in the bridge and a like a PAF style in the neck. Best ever since I finished it. It's been just my favorite thing to play, and just knowing that like I put it together is probably one of the best parts to me.
That's the coolest part.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I think I try to build everything that I use. It's
It makes
I
more
don't
sense.
know,
There's more of a connection to it.
right? Yeah, and yeah, that's basically what my pedal board is too. So I'll get that. It's just plugged in down here. Okay, it's kind of not really optimized right now, but let's see. I have the master preamp right there, and then the Winter Wonderland pedal, which is a Wonder Drive and a Big Muff together.
Okay.
Then I have the One Piece pedal, which is a chorus and 80s style overdrive for distortion. It's kind of a good 80s rock box. Then I have the Nights You Say Wah, Ottawa. It's funny, but also it makes really good for like atmospheric kind of effects if you have the LFO at a really low speed.
Uh huh.
And then the two notes here for just plugging right into my computer.
Yeah.
This is like my recording demos kind of rig.
It's a good rig to have, especially the
Yeah.
Night's Wah. I love my Night's Wah. I'm glad that I have one, to be honest with you. I
Oh
use it
yeah,
on,
yeah,
I'll either have it on my bass board or on my guitar board. I had it on my organ board for a little while, the one that I run into the Hellfire. But right now I just have a DoD stereo phaser and then the deadbeat the void reverb, so I have a little bit of hall reverb on my organ. But yeah, I know that when I told you that, you were like, "Yeah, I never really pictured someone running like organ through it, but it
yeah.
works really well. It gives it it's got the warmth. It just makes it sound like it's a real organ, even though it's technically not."
Yeah, yeah, I think it makes sense. I just never thought about it.
Anytime you hear my organ on any demos I send you, it's running right through that, out through the XLR out, the DI, and then I'll do a stereo mix with the effects coming out through the quarter-inch out, and it works really well for me. I'm glad that I have it. It's a great recording amp to have for sure, especially for that.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, I also have an amp, but I can't really show that right here.
Yeah, I understand.
But it's right next to me. It's the Science Amp's mother, the 100-watt version. Science Amps is a really cool company making. I
Cool.
think they're in like
I remember
Seattle.
you posted.
What? Oh,
Oh, yeah.
he's frozen.
Right.
Um. Well,
I think that again.
I think again too, as well. Also, um. So we're getting close to the hour mark. So I
Sorry
wanted to
about that. My
ask you.
internet sucks.
Oh, you're good. I was just asking Tim about his if he wanted to give us his socials again, where we can find Bardic Audio Devices, if they're in Guitar Center or whatever. I don't know. I don't know if you have pedals in Guitar Center or not. But yeah, promote your stuff. Also, if you've got like a band or anything, promote it. Now's the
Okay.
time.
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Bardic Audio Devices and my website, bardicaudiodevices.com. Just search Bardic Audio Devices on Google and you'll find me. Um, yeah, working on getting a few pedals that are currently out of stock in stock now. The HM Demon is coming back pretty soon, and so is the HM Demogorgon, the big boy demon, and the Master preamp later down the road. But yeah, that's all I have.
Are you going to be doing any more of the Shalob's layer pedals?
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't have any concrete plans right now, but I am working on a bit of a redesign.
I'm interested, so just mark me down.
Absolutely.
Now, Lucky, was there anything that you wanted to ask Tim before we reach the final minute of the show? Like any pedal related stuff, music stuff, art stuff, etc.
Um, I started feeling sick about 20 minutes ago, and I've just been trying to make it to the end of
Understood.
the episode.
Understood.
Um,
We
but
could end early if you need to.
let me give me just 1 second. Let me think if I can. I don't know. I was gonna ask a while ago. What's your favorite boss pedal? Do you have one?
Oh, boss pedal. Yeah, I've had a few. I think my favorite is the Metal Zone.
I also love the Metal Zone. It's a fantastic pedal. I don't know. I they've got such a wide array of pedals. Sometimes you get weird answers. Like I want someone to be like the slow gear because I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that's all I've got. Just some
That's
promotion
pretty
for the
much it.
largest pedal company in the world.
Yep.
You know how it is. Um, but yeah, it was great talking to you, Tim. Hopefully we can do this again sometime. Did you have anything, Deuce?
I'd say the only thing that I really wanted to add is that you know, to the audience mainly, anybody that watches this now or in the future, just remember if you're thinking about buying a pedal from an independent builder and you're hesitant, just remember like that might be a big portion of their income, and if you're just like, oh well, I don't know, obviously don't make yourself broke, but I would say avoid the cheap, generic, like huge manufacturer run ones that are trash on Amazon for like 30-40 bucks. Save up your money, get a pedal that has love and care and time and effort put into it, and you know, you'll love it for the rest of your life, and it'll be one of the biggest investments you make in your own sound and your own career, really. I mean, I think my sound now mainly comes from the people who I've interacted with, who I've acquired gear from. I wouldn't be able to get these sounds without any of this stuff. So it's just one of those things. If you're thinking about it, you might just want to say yes. And don't forget to get a corn buffer. You need at least one, possibly
You
two.
need at least one corn buffer.
Yeah, and get the Night's Wah
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, check out Bardic Audio Devices. I guess check out Demonic Machines too. Shameless plug. And y'all have a wonderful evening. Yeah.